Good afternoon and welcome to a bit of a koi pond update. It's Sunday the 23rd of March and I thought I'd do a bit of an update about the koi pond's been running, how the air source heat pumps been doing, and a few different changes I've changed with the settings on the air source heat pump as well. I'll give you a bit of a run through of them. A couple of interesting things I found out by getting in touch with the importers of the Remora heat pumps, and yeah, just a bit of a general update. So the heat pump's been working great. Still haven't finished doing the lagging. It's sort of a job that I dread doing. I've done the main bits, but I need to finish off the bottom of that pipe there, those two ball valves and the return elbow. I'm just not looking forward to doing it. It's a bit of a loathsome job. But the heat pump itself has been working absolutely fantastic. So a bit of a, obviously I haven't put a video out for a little bit, so I'll give you a bit of a backstory. I can't remember when we fitted it. I think it was sort of the middle of February, I think it went on. And run it up at 12 degrees for a while, and the problems I was having with the heat pump was it wasn't a problem, to be fair. It's nothing to do with the heat pump. It's not a problem at all with the heat pump. It's how the inverter side of the heat pump works. I'll go into that in a bit more detail later on, but as we sit now, we're at 18 degrees, 18.5 degrees, and the fish are absolutely loving life. There's a few less fish in there now. We've got rid of quite a few fish, quite a few that have been moved on. So there's the karashi, one of the chags are gone, that's the one chag we're left with. The achiba, the two tamasaba are still in there, and then there is the free Akawa Tozai from last year, the little Yamabuki, the little Showa, and the little Platinum Ogon, Ginrin Platinum Ogon. That's the Achiba. So yeah, down to a few less fish. What fish have been moved on? There has been the little Shiro, the Kajaku, the little Goshki, the Sankey, the Chag, one of the Chags, the sister Chags, the other Chag, and the Shisui. So it's given me a bit of space in the pond. But yeah, talking about on the air source heat pump, it has been doing a fantastic job. And we'll get inside now because it's lovely and warm inside there, and I'll give you a bit of a rundown of everything for March so far. So yeah, nothing's really changed in here, except it's lovely and warm, being at the water's at 18 degrees. Feeder's moved back from there back to here. That was a stupid idea. Much better there. Why didn't I just put it back there? Don't know what I was thinking. So yeah, pond's working great. The smell in here has changed considerably now the temperatures have come up. Everything's starting to kick into gear. The wall is getting a lovely, lovely lush green moss on it. I know Joe loved that when he come down. There you go, Joe, a bit of an update for you on the green moss situation. So hopefully we'll get that whole wall looking nice and natural by the end of the year. My little Fern's doing well. He's sprigged out of nowhere. He's loving life. So yeah, we'll get that looking a bit cool this year. But yeah, fish are looking grand. So yeah, things are doing well. They're having quite a bit of food, to be fair, for the amount of fish that are in there. So there's, was there 3, 6 and 2 tamasaba, and they're having probably 25, probably the best part, 75 grams of food at the minute. Probably a bit more because eke a bit more in when I can. Water's looking good. Ammonia's up a touch, but nitrite is fine. pH is stable. KH is stable. Everything is yeah, going pretty good. Talking of food, this year I'm going to be feeding FD. I'm going to have a mix of FD build up and FD colour. So the lighter pellet is the build up and the darker one is the colour up. So that's, at the moment, I've actually just put it up today actually, so it'll probably be a bit more than 75 grams now. They'll probably be pushing on nearly 100 grams. Well, for 6 fish, they're doing alright, but to be fair, that thing will eat bloody 100 grams on its own, that crashy will. They're on, as of today, when I've just changed it, they're on a 1 feed at 10, 1 feed at 2, and then that's of FD, the mixture, and then in a morning I've still got a load of this is Saki Balance small pellet. I'm just using that up, getting rid of that. This is some of the stuff that I had from the All Japan Koi Show, some free samples from the Saki Akari stand. I think I've mixed it all together now. You can see there's all mixture, but I've got to think there is a bit of All Season, a bit of Saki Balance R, and a bit of Growth R in there. So considering that's a good little free sample, really. All of them, there's there's three of them little pouches worth in 1.5 there, so bit of an evening feed sort of thing. One of the Matsuba nets I got while in Japan. Brilliant. But sorry, yeah, going back onto the food. So they get a feed at 10 and a feed at 2 through the auto feeder at the minute, just on one setting. Yeah, I can't be pushing them too much because there isn't many fish in the pond at the minute. So all the food's gone in probably about 20 minutes. Well, considering there's only 6 fish in there, and well, 6 fish and 2 tamasaba, there's 3 decent sized fish and 3 tozai, so they're doing alright. They're having a lot of food for the size of the fish, I think, to be honest. So yeah, 2 feeds on the auto feeder, and then they get a feed in a morning of Saki Balance small pellet, which is one of those, which is a protein powder scoop. And if I measure, I've wrote on the side, if I've weighed it out, one of them is about 25 grams. So they get one of them in the morning, one of them in an evening, and yeah, they seem to be doing pretty well on them, to be fair. Like, they seem to be enjoying the Saki and yeah, enjoying the FD as well. Like, it seems to be going real well. So yeah, let's have a bit of a chat about the air source heat pump. It's been working fantastic. I should have done it last year. I don't know why I waited so long not to do it. I should have done it first thing when I put the pond in. What a difference it makes having heat. The fish, the fish love it. You've prolonged your season. Like, I've been at 18 degrees now since the first week in March. So I've had a week in March at 12, holding at 12, and then I cranked it to 18. So I've had 2 weeks at 18 now, and what a difference! It's just you just enjoy the hobby more. Like, it's so much better having heat. I'm going to run you through some costs and everything, what it's cost me as well. Frightening, you'll be, to be fair, in a good way, of how good that heat pump's working. But there is some changes you have to do to the Remora heat pumps, and we'll go into that a little bit more in a bit. Filter's working fine. I'm back to my old summer regime of cleaning every other day the Nexus. It gives the pond a good water change over the week, and you can definitely tell with the bigger feeding and larger amounts of food going in, the amount of build up and everything coming in on the inside the Nexus is building up in there in the centre chamber. But yeah, no, to be fair, the old Nexus is doing well. I've turned the flow down a little bit, so we're actually only on 50% now on 9,000 ORs. Just because putting the heat pump on, I wanted to run it through it as slow as possible to get the heat exchange the best I could. So yeah, that's doing really well. I've just done my water tests and everything now on this afternoon. Ammonia's a little bit up, nitrite's a little bit up, and KH is good, pH is stable, and chlorine 0. So yeah, everything is looking pretty good. That's why I just cranked the feed up, actually. That was my decision, to crank the feed up one more feed during the day so I can have a bit more. But yeah, looking forward to the new season, which is literally only just around the corner. So let's talk about the Remora air source heat pump. The model that I've got is the Remora i9, which is, I think, if I'm right, I might be wrong, I think is the smallest one they do. It's the inverter model, and like I say, I've been running it for probably 5 weeks now, I'd say, in total, and it's worked a treat, absolutely brilliant. But we'll go through some of the, not the teething problems that I had, but the setup and setting changes with the Remora, unlike other heat pumps that are on the market, like the Thermatex, which you can crank down to a degree, half a degree difference, to bring the heat pump in and out. So we'll just talk a little bit about that now, and some of the changes you can make with the Remora to make it work a lot better. So one of the things I come across with the Remora was, when we first put it on the pond was at about 7-8 degrees, I think it was. She was sat at ambient. Put it to 12, brought it up to 12 degrees, lovely. Sat there beautifully and did a fantastic job. We had just started to feed the fish a little bit, starting to build the filters up a little bit, everything was going well. But one of the things that I noticed that was happening was that unlike, because I did a lot of research into which air source heat pumps I wanted to buy, and it was literally between the Remora or the, Christ alive, look at my hair, flipping it, put that back on, Jesus. Between the Thermatec or the Remora. Now I went for the Remora because I heard nothing but good things about them, and they're slightly cheaper, and it suited the space that I wanted to go in, because it's a smaller unit than the Thermatex generally. So yeah, sat at 12 degrees beautifully, did an awesome job, it was great. But one of the drawbacks with the Remora is, unlike the Thermatex, you can alter, I found that you can alter it, but there's drawbacks to altering the settings on a Remora. So there's a bit of a catch-22 situation. So the Thermatec heat pumps, you can go into the settings and change your temperature differential to, so say if you're set at 12 degrees, on a Thermatec, if you set it at 12, it'll cut in at 11.5 when it's dropped down and cut out at 12.5. So you've got a degree difference. One of the things that Remoras do is they have a degree each way difference. So essentially you get a 2 degree swing. Now that's okay, but when I was at 12 degrees, the heat pump wasn't kicking in. It was doing a brilliant job, and with the pond being so well insulated, once the temperature was in the room and in the water, it kept the temperature very well, which was really good because it means it's costing me less to run the heat pump. But what was happening was, and this actually all come about with a conversation with that chap called, I think he's called Simon, from AES, if I get that right, I might be wrong, double check, who are the main suppliers slash importers or manufacturers of the Remora heat pump. So rang the service guy, who is called Simon for AES, and talked to him about, right, I want to change the preferences on the parameter settings on this heat pump to get it down to a degree swing. The problem you've got is, if you change the parameter settings in a Remora, it actually changes the way the heat pump works, and The long and the short of it, if you go into the background, and Simon's a bit unwilling to do this because there's better ways of doing it, which is the way we went down in the end. Essentially, what you do is you turn. If you bought an inverter heat pump, essentially you turn it into an on-off heat pump, which is going to cost more to run, and you may as well have bought a different model of heat pump at the end of the day. So there's a few not setting changes, a few things that we could do, because what was happening was, so the pond was running at 12 degrees, beautiful, lovely, but it's because it's so well insulated in here, the heat pump wouldn't kick in for 2 days, because it's set at 12. Remember, you've got a 2 degree swing each way, so you'll go up to 13 to heat, then cut off, then it would have to cut down into 11 degrees before the heat pump would kick back in again. So over 2 days I was getting a 2 degree swing. Now that doesn't sound huge, but it's big for koi. It's a big swing for koi to be able to cope with, that is, within a short period of time. So, like I say, got on the phone and wanted to know how I could change these settings. Now, like I said before, if you go into the settings of the Remora heat pump, you will alter it. Basically, the way that they work is you'll stop it becoming an inverter, and the smart way that it works. So what Simon actually got me to do after I'd explained my situation, and he's had this before, to be fair, with very well insulated ponds. What you have is, I'll show you on my phone in a minute, is the app that you use with the Remora heat pump. You actually go into the app and you set trigger times. We'll run through that. I'll tell you what I'll do it on my phone now, it'll be easier to show you. So this is the app you can use for the Remora heat pumps. It's called Smart Life. Just press that. And yeah, it's a very, very basic app, to be fair. I mean, the only thing it can really tell you, there's the air source heat pump. The only thing it can really tell you is what its set temperature is and what the current temperature is. It's very, very basic in a way, but until I'll tell you what, the other thing I'm going to use, change the heating mode, which you always just want to leave on that smart heating mode anyway, just leave it alone. But what Simon got me to do is he actually, so what we did, because the heat pump wasn't kicking in for up to 2 days because it was holding too good of a temperature in here, and the temp swings were 2 degrees. What we've actually done is we've put in a process where the heat pump kicks in at 6 o'clock in the morning and kicks in at 6 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock at night. So what we've actually done is we're tricking the heat pump to go into a heat cycle. So what we did is we went into this button down here called Scene, and then we shall go in that one there. So these are all the triggers for the heat pump. So essentially what's happening is, at 6 o'clock in the morning, no matter what the temperature is, I've set a start trigger in the morning, which is what it's called there. It is scheduled for 6 o'clock and it is scheduled to ramp up to 22 degrees. So what that essentially means is at 6 o'clock every morning, through the Wi-Fi and everything, that heat pump is set to ramp up to 22 degrees. Right, so essentially what we've done, we've tricked the heat pump into firing up. So then at 6:10, so 10 minutes later after it's ramped up to 22 degrees, we have then retold the heat pump to come back down to 18. But essentially what that does is it wakes the heat pump up to put it back into a heat cycle again. And essentially the same thing happens in the evening, start trigger evening, and set temperature evening, exactly the same. So what we've got is we've got The heat pump set at 18 degrees. Remember, with a Remora heat pump, it'll go up to another degree higher than what you set it. So that's why my pond now, when I looked outside before, we were at like 18 and a half, because the heat pump won't cut out until 19 degrees. So essentially what we did is in a very, very basic way of trying to explain it, 6 o'clock in the morning, I demand the heat pump to ramp the temperature up higher than it currently is. So if we're sat at 18, at 6 o'clock I demand it to come up to 22 degrees. That ramps the heat pump up. 10 minutes later we go back down to the set temperature, because what was happening was, because it was so keeping its temperature in here really well, essentially the heat pump was going into like a standby mode and wasn't waking itself back up, because it wasn't frequently turning its... Heat pumps work best when they're off and on and off and on and off and on. That's like the best way that these inverter heat pumps work. So they're constantly trickling in power and trickling in heat into the system. Excuse me. So what was happening is my heat pump was turning off for too long, which is great. It doesn't cost me anything to heat the water, but it's almost a catch-22, because yes, it was off for a good period of time, but then it would run longer because I'm having to come back from 11 degrees up to 13 to where it would switch off again. So what happens now is 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock at night, I demand the heat pump that ramps itself up. 10 minutes later it puts it back down to the set temperature, and then what it does then is, once it's gone to that set temperature, the heat pump will go back and turn off a degree higher than your set temperature. That's how Remoras work, that's just how it is. So I'm set at 18 now, temperature on the heat pump. It'll go to 19 and switch off. So, in a very, very simple way of doing it, with a bit of help from Simon, I've managed to actually change the heat pump from going from a 2 degree swing to about 0.3 to 0.5 of a degree swing, which is absolutely fantastic. For the koi, it means there's actually lower running costs on the heat pump, because it's not running as long during the day. Instead of it running for 4 or 5 hours trying to gain them 2 degrees back, it's only trickling in for an hour or two, maybe, you know, during the whole day. So it's keeping the temperature more stable, and it's keeping the water in a good operating range and not fluctuating by their massive couple of degrees. It's only fluctuating by 0.3 or half a degree, 0.3, 0.5 a degree, which is perfect. So one of the other things I'll get onto now with the heat pump, so this is going to be how much the costings are for March. So we've been running 23 days, 23rd of March today, Sunday the 23rd. This is the Tapu app, which I explained in my previous video, with the air source heat pump is actually on a energy monitoring plug. So we'll just go on to that now. You can see that it's actually running on 7 watts at the moment. It's turned off, so sorry, it's not turned off, the heat pump isn't, but it's on standby mode basically. So yeah, she sat at 7 watts, and the grand total for 23 days, probably the best part of it sat at 18 degrees, I'd say, come to a grand total of 20 quid. I don't think you can go wrong with that. I am very, very pleased with that. Like, I don't think you can't get a lot for 20 quid nowadays, can you? Let's be honest. So yeah, that's the update of the pond and the update of the heat pump. If you've got any questions you want to ask about how to do the settings on the heat pump, if you've got a Remora, I'll be more than happy to help you. Probably if you put a comment on YouTube, or probably the easiest thing is find me on Facebook and direct message me, and I'll tell you how to do it, because it solves the problem of the difference between the settings on a Thermatech and it does on a Remora. Fantastic. It just is a game. It is an absolute game changer. Yeah, that's about it really. I've been doing a little bit more messing around. I was gonna put a like the Quinny Koi showers on the end of the pond. The old man has literally just bought probably one of the first original EZ ponds, little 500 gram grow-on pond. He's just bought that. He's gonna have I'm gonna do a couple of videos on that as well. He's gonna have it as a Tamasaba setup. So it comes as a full grow-on setup, EZ pond and Easy Pod, and with it come a Quinny shower. And I thought, well, I'll just try it, because I was looking at them. I thought, well, I'll put a few photos of mocking it up in here now. So yeah, those are the pictures of where I mocked it up in the week. It didn't really work. I didn't like it hanging over the pond. It wasn't great. The other idea I had was it was going to sit here. Actually, no, I'll flip it around. That's a bit of a strange way of looking at things. It was going to sit there, and it pretty much fill that whole area. That was the only problem. But it restricted the view of the pond terribly. So yeah, that plan kind of went out the window really. It was all sort of a bit of an idea of trying to just get a bit more filtration on the pond, because the one thing that does limit me in here is, I'll take a look from here, is the space I've got in the filter shed. Yeah, it's a bit snug. I've contemplated trying to fit a drum in, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. So I think I'm going to run this year with the Nexus. I'm going to see how we go with the Nexus. It's doing a grand job. I mean, I can't complain. I've not had any issues with it. Well, I mean, what is there to break on a Nexus? Well, nothing really, is there? But yeah, I'm going to see how we go this year with the Nexus. And I think in the future, I think the idea would be to put a drum in here and build a block bio there. I think that's going to be the best option, but we'll see how this goes. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind cleaning the Nexus. It does a grand job. The water's lovely. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not as crystal clear as it was a few videos ago, because we're starting to feed a bit now. You can't expect that. Yeah, no, everything seems to be going well. Got a few videos planned this year. Hopefully, we'll get up to see my new fish soon. I know they're in the country. I know that they're currently at Quality Nishikoi, being quarantined. So yeah, we'll. Can't wait to get them down. Wow, it's going to make a hell of a difference, that is. We'll do a few videos on the new fish, do a few videos on Dad's new Tamasaba setup, and yeah, we'll get round a couple of mates of mine, do a couple of pond visits, and go and have a look at a few ponds around the area. And I've had a few people message me as well, they can want to come visit the pond. That's all fine, like drop me a message or find me on Facebook or something like that. Yeah, more than welcome. Okay guys, thanks for watching the video, and yeah, this is a bit of a tail end of March update, and let the koi season begin. Thank you very much.